Meghan Markle does not look happy. She flew all the way to Switzerland to give a speech on the side of the road that no one showed up for or stopped to hear what she was saying. This has become a pattern for Meghan and Harry. The popularity they proudly flaunted on Netflix and assumed would follow them after leaving the royal family has clearly faded, resulting in awkward scenes like this that completely overshadow what they're trying to advocate for. Hey everyone, welcome back to Scandalous Media. It's Angela here, and Meghan Markle is back at it again, giving a speech as the world's worst messenger. That's the thing neither Meghan nor her team understands. No matter how serious the topic may be, if the messenger is the embodiment of everything wrong with the topic, then the message is never going to land. And this is a bigger discussion I'll save for a deep dive called The Problem with Meghan Markle, so let me know if you're interested in that video and I'll start on it. But before we get into today's mess, be sure to hit that subscribe button and like if you enjoy these types of videos, put those post notifications on so you don't miss the live chat premiere we do for every single upload, and if that new YouTube hype button pops up on this video, go ahead and hype it up because apparently that's YouTube's newest way of fighting the algorithm. Also make sure you're following us on all social media so you don't miss any extra tea, updates, or our juicy short form content. Now with that being said, let's get into why Meghan Markle got ignored in Switzerland, why her message still isn't landing with the public despite all the rebranding attempts, and how the complete opposite reaction Princess Catherine received during her Italy trip exposed the growing difference between their public image. The speech nobody stopped for. Meghan posted her entire 10-minute speech on Instagram, and to everyone's surprise, it was missing her signature word salad. Yup, you heard that right. No me stories, no mention of the kids' ages and how in love with her husband she is. She stayed on theme, which is something we've never seen before with Meghan. Guess that alleged humility training paid off. And yes, I'm talking about that Radar Online report claiming Meghan underwent what was basically anti-diva training ahead of the Australia tour so she could appear more relatable and likable to the public. I actually made a whole short breaking that down if you want the full tea. She gave her speech at Palais des Nations, which is basically the main public square right outside the United Nations headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland. She joined Dr. Tedros from the World Health Organization to unveil the Lost Screen Memorial. The issue here is that Meghan's likability problem may be far too damaged to simply PR train away, because once upon a time, people used to crowd the streets just to catch a glimpse of the new Duchess. Now, not even traffic stopped for her speech. People were literally walking past her mid-sentence like she was giving out free pamphlets on the corner. I've seen a bigger crowd for a hot dog stand in New York. And just like we've seen last month in Australia, they had all these barriers, but no crowd to hold back. From this angle, you could spot roughly 20 people standing there to listen to her, and it looks like only a handful of people are sitting in the seats they had set up. They had quite a bunch of seats set up, but even then, it doesn't look like they were expecting more than 50 people or so. This is kind of an insanely low turnout, especially since the speech isn't televised, so it's not like they're relying on a bigger audience, and social media, the exact thing Meghan is always preaching against, isn't exactly her biggest fan. Here's another picture of the crowd, and it's just a few people sitting in the public square, looking like they weren't even there for her. Elle posted this video of Meghan arriving to give her speech, and she looked absolutely stunned by the turnout. Like a mix of irritated, confused, and low-key in disbelief that people weren't flooding the area to see her. She wasn't strutting in with her head held up high like she's a global humanitarian arriving at the Invictus Games. Instead, it was giving, wait, this is it? And hearing the clacking of her heels with an empty turnout was pretty embarrassing. Only one person called out to her, and you could tell that Meghan is unamused and looks rather embarrassed herself.
Hi, Meghan. Hi.
She couldn't even hide her disappointment. The usual giant smile and signature royal-style waving were noticeably missing. Now, I don't know if that's because there were practically 3 people standing there, or because the topic being discussed was obviously very serious. But let's be honest, that's never really stopped Meghan before. We've literally seen her pivot from the mention of children taking their own lives to proudly gushing about how amazing her own kids are with a huge smile on her face.
And now they can be in the next door room on a tablet or on a phone and can be going down these rabbit holes, and before you know it, within 24 hours, they could be taking their life.
Our kids are young, they're 3 and 5. They're amazing.
It's quite the scene hearing Meghan talk while in the background you see this man taking a picture of something else completely, a woman's back is to Meghan, another two pass right by her, another woman on a bike doesn't even stop to look, and then there's a man taking a photo of someone posing somewhere else completely. And that was the case for the entirety of her speech. So not only is this the wrong person to deliver this message, but it also doesn't look like she's capable of attracting a crowd. So really, what's her purpose here? A lot of people also feel uncomfortable watching Meghan center herself in conversations involving parents who have actually lost children to online harm because, respectfully, she cannot relate to that level of grief. What Meghan can relate to is having a long-standing issue with criticism, commentary, and negative public opinion online. So to most viewers, this campaign feels less like genuine advocacy and more like Meghan using a deeply emotional issue to continue her ongoing war against social media criticism. Now moving on to the speech itself, it seems like after years of Meghan making self-gloating speeches and abandoning an agreed-upon theme as we saw at the One Young World charity event, she finally listened to constructive criticism and realized that no one in the audience is a die-hard Markle stan wanting to hear about how amazing she is. But no matter how good your topic is, you'll have no credibility when your speaker is a walking contradiction of that topic. Right message, wrong messenger. When people can easily pull up examples of you doing the exact same thing you're now preaching against, you're just gonna end up looking like a clown. She yaps a little bit about
relentless algorithms, exploitative engagement, and endless exposure to harmful content that they are not seeking out.
And look, as someone who is chronically online, I understand the concern. Algorithms absolutely can push harmful content and addictive behavior because these platforms are designed around engagement. But here's my issue with the way Meghan frames this conversation. The responsibility cannot fall entirely on the internet while completely removing parental accountability from the equation, especially since there are already a lot of restrictions, moderation systems, parental controls, age limits, and content regulations online. At some point, parents also have a responsibility to monitor what their children are consuming, how much access they have to the internet, and what kind of content they're interacting with. So when Meghan says this,
and they are not the fault of the child nor the parent,
it almost removes that responsibility entirely, and I actually think that can be harmful too. This is kind of like saying, well, parks are made for children, so I should be able to leave my kid there unattended while I go run errands. In theory, yes, parks are for children, but that still doesn't stop dangerous people from entering those spaces. And realistically, you can't fully control who enters public spaces or the internet without opening up an entirely different conversation about surveillance, censorship, profiling, and overregulation, and suddenly we have strayed so far away from the original plot. I also want to clarify that Meghan said that it's not the fault of the children or the parents after mentioning a few stories of kids affected by bullying on social media or unlimited access to information that in turn harmed them. And I actually agree that grieving parents should not spend the rest of their lives blaming themselves for something as massive and difficult to control as the internet. But where I think Meghan's messaging becomes dangerous is that she rarely emphasizes the role parents do play in protecting children online. Because while social media companies absolutely deserve scrutiny, parents are still responsible for monitoring internet access, setting boundaries, limiting screen time, and understanding what their kids are consuming at such impressionable ages. But she's not going to say that because it goes against her entire brand that the media is out to get her and everyone is lying about her, rather than taking responsibility for her own actions. You can't take Meghan Markle seriously when she talks about something being exploitative when she just posted her charity looks for her audience to shop. You can't take her seriously when she talks about bullying when she's known for what she said and did to the royal family on Oprah and on Netflix.
If an adult is barely able to survive the bullying and predation of the online world and the dangers that these platforms bring, how is a child?
When you have a reputation for bullying your staff to tears, no one is going to take you seriously when you try to become an advocate against bullying, especially when you made fun of the royal family on live TV, when you treat everyone, including your father and family, like they're disposable, and when you've been exposed for malicious lies against your in-laws. She only says this:
we did not tell parents to create their own seatbelts. We did not ask children to test unsafe medicine. We did not shrug at poisoned water or defective toys and call it the price of progress.
And while I actually like the beginning comparison about seatbelts and medicine, this is also where the conversation completely stops at surface level activism. These are real issues that require actual policy, regulation, science, oversight, and public debate to address. Even today, we're still dealing with modern versions of these problems. Data centers powering AI technology are rapidly expanding across the world, and there are already concerns about the environmental impact, water usage, energy consumption, and regulation. So there are serious conversations to be had here. She later says,
"We would never accept a food system that knowingly exposed children to harm."
Which is pretty much a lie, because there are a lot of processed ingredients and chemicals used in America that are banned in Europe and are related to a whole list of chronic diseases and inflammation. Acting like there isn't a web of issues around topics she claims have the regulations that social media needs to have is actually harmful. And the worst part is that Meghan never goes deeper than vague statements like, "We need to do better."
And now the world must act again.
And that's the issue. When celebrities position themselves as thought leaders on highly complex subjects they don't seem deeply informed on.
They didn't know that the platforms valued profit over people.
Again, right message, wrong messenger. This is the same person who just a few weeks ago put up and is still putting up her outfits for you to shop from her charity look. If she did these charity stints in private, how else could she promote her outfits for you to shop so she gets a percentage? This is the same person who invested in a brand called Sesta Collective because of their ethical practices, only for them to be exposed to be paying women in Rwanda only 82 pence for an 8-hour day. She used her kids to promote As Ever and gave Netflix the exclusive pictures and videos to promote the show and have everyone tune in to get exclusive content of the kids that she essentially used to sell this story, only to say,
"Our children are not products.
It's ridiculous, especially when she also says,
They are not experiments, and they are not expendable."
This is the same person who just a few weeks ago was taking kids out of the hospital for a little pap stroll and had kids posing with her after removing their masks, leading to an Australian nurse to question why she herself is unmasked even though just before that she was masked in an LA hospital. She is also quoted as saying, "Let's make this quick." Then she proceeded to put her look on one off for people to shop. I wonder if she'll do the same for this Swiss visit, or if she learned from the promotional look she wore to meet Bondi Beach terror survivors and the backlash she got from that. Although, that look is still up on that platform. Meghan's message about protecting children online would be easier to take seriously if her own public behavior and branding weren't so contradictory. The irony here is that she posted this picture of Lily with the caption, "Mama's little helper," to promote the trip, because what is the media now running with? Meghan wears dress, picked by Lily. In the photo, you could also see the black suit she ended up wearing hanging up. And if you are not familiar with Meghan, this is exactly how she uses the kids to promote her show, her brand, or her affiliate links to clothes. She knows that the kids are her biggest asset and royal connection. That's why she's made a big fuss about them being photographed in the UK, while she was secretly cooking up deals with Oprah and CBS before she even gave birth to Archie. The public doesn't feel confused because Meghan occasionally shares her children. They feel confused because Harry and Meghan built an entire brand around demanding absolute privacy while also strategically deciding when that visibility benefits them. She ends her speech encouraging people to do better, especially with their social media use, with whatever they comment on and share.
Be an example in your own social media use of how to be intentional in every moment that you like, that you comment, that you post, that you share. Hold your community to the same standard.
This is Meghan's tell that this is once again about how bothered she is with criticism about her online. Because just 2 years ago, at her South by Southwest speech, she spoke about the role that women play in making social media harmful to other women. Only Meghan Markle would take the stage to point the finger at women for not liking her. Women don't have an obligation to like you, Meghan. Because if that's the logic she's using, then she had no business treating Catherine the way she did. But she didn't care and continuously disrespected and targeted her publicly, not to mention the mind games and devious ways she went about treating her staff, as I've covered in detail before. And let's not forget when Meghan's little PR author Omid Scobie named King Charles and Princess Catherine in the Dutch translation of his book Endgame as the two royals who allegedly discussed Archie's skin tone, aka the story that Meghan first mentioned on Oprah,
how dark his skin might be when he's born.
And after directly giving Omid info for her PR book Finding Freedom. It's not that hard to connect the dots as to who named Charles and Catherine as part of her ploy to brand the royal family as racist.
You accuse members of your family of racism. You don't even...
The British press said that.
Right.
Did Meghan ever mention that they're racist?
Concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What?
A move that backfired completely, which brings me to the next point. Catherine's successful Italy trip. Why people are turned off by Meghan but connect with her. Meghan has set herself up to always be compared to the royal family, and that isn't exactly the best thing, especially when they played the long game and she's losing the public's approval. While Meghan was standing over in Switzerland, struggling to gather a crowd around a street speech, Catherine was over in Italy drawing massive public attention everywhere she went. One of the biggest reasons Catherine became more respected than Meghan is because she doesn't overexpose herself. Catherine mastered something Meghan never quite figured out. Sometimes less visibility creates more value. While Meghan was ranting in interviews, accusing the media of lying, and constantly branding herself as the victim, Catherine was calmer and quieter. And organically, that made her more mysterious. The fact that she wasn't seen in public for a few weeks at a time had the entire internet in shambles, with conspiracy theories floating around, and even Meghan's own minion, Christopher Boozy, who appeared on Netflix to defend Meghan, was ranting on a podcast implying that William may have hurt Catherine and all this other crazy stuff.
If William did something to Kate or not, or if Kate did something to herself.
Only for it to be revealed that Catherine was undergoing cancer treatment. As horrible as people treated her, there is no doubt that everyone lost their minds when she wasn't visible. And that alone is attention and relevance that Meghan not only dreams of right now, but once believed she got effortlessly. What was it that Harry said?
When someone who's marrying in, who should be a supporting act, is then stealing the limelight or is doing the job better than the person who was born to do that.
Even though those years of success were simply because she was the shiny new thing in the royal family. And so when the conspiracy theories, harassment, invasive speculation, and mocking surrounded Catherine continued, her cancer reveal made people even more sympathetic, and this shifted public empathy toward her. Catherine also feels more genuine and public service focused, while Meghan is like a walking commercial. Catherine is duty-based rather than PR-based. The public likes stability, and Catherine's image stayed relatively consistent, as opposed to Meghan, who is constantly rebranding. One minute she's the anti-royal truth teller, then she's the Hollywood feminist speaker, then the podcast host, then the Netflix producer, then the humanitarian activist, then the Montecito Martha Stewart lifestyle influencer selling jam and flour sprinkled. Just recently, she posted this new reel promoting As Ever as this world that you have to be part of, and you could tell that she's taking this more casual approach, even with the new icon and focus on quiet everyday life things, jam, flowers, veggies, and reading a book. It's quite the marketing shift from the elaborate attempt at elevating everyday life in her Netflix show with Love Meghan. Because let's not forget, just last year, Meghan was still desperately trying to position herself as this elite Hollywood figure, attending all the top parties, networking with billionaires, posing with major executives, and attaching herself to celebrity circles and power players. Now, suddenly the branding is a simple, cozy domestic life, and she's back to being a philanthropist going on royal tours, even though that was not the case at all last year. And that constant shifting is exactly the problem. At a certain point, people stop seeing authenticity and start seeing the strategy. Meanwhile, Catherine's image has barely changed at all, which ironically makes her feel more trustworthy to the public over time. This also means that things become more effortless for Catherine. She received the Primo Tricolore in Italy and didn't feel the need to insist on speaking, as opposed to Meghan, who was in Nigeria tidal fishing and demanding a mic to give a speech every minute of the trip. It's honestly hard for me to picture Meghan truly advancing in the philanthropic world and winning people over long term, because I don't even think that's what she genuinely wants. Meghan doesn't come across like someone motivated by service first, because if that was the case, she would have stayed as a working royal. She comes across like someone motivated by image, influence, status, and power. And if playing the shy, concerned humanitarian helps maintain that image, then she'll absolutely play the role. The real question is whether people are still buying into it. Well guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed my recap of Meghan's trip to Switzerland and why things aren't working out for her. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and if there are any other video topics you want me to dive deep into. Be sure to like and subscribe for new videos every single week. Put those post notifications on so you don't miss the live chat premiere we do for every single video. Follow us on our social media, and as ever, I'll see you next time.